is a leader able to exercise military, economic, and political control over a subnational territory within a sovereign state due to their ability to mobilize loyal armed forces. These armed forces, usually considered malicious, are loyal to the warlord rather than to the state regime. Warlords have existed throughout much of history, albeit in a variety of different capacities within the political, economic, and social structure of states or ungoverned territories. Welcome to Internet Warlords. The war for the Internet. Every day billions of people around the planet engage in a deadly war for the minds of mankind. Internet Warlords podcast is dedicated to winning the war for the Internet. Each week, we will feature the best and the worst of the Internet in our never-ending quest to end the war for the Internet. Are you ready? Buckle up, check your feelings at the door. Sensitive individuals that need to be protected from reality need go no further. Internet Warlords does not condone violence nor do we give legal advice. Any individuals featured on this broadcast are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. As we do our final broadcast checks, please take this time to go to internetwarlords.com and find out how you can help support this broadcast. We have apparel and other items available at our online store. Donations are always appreciated but never expected. Please do enjoy yourself and feel free to call in at any time. Don't forget to subscribe and make sure to hit the bell icon for live notifications. Welcome to Internet Warlords. Let the war begin. Now your host, the CEO of Internet Warlords, CJ Abernathy.
Welcome to Internet Warlords. What's up, everybody? It's your boy CJ, the Internet Warlord, coming to you live and loud from the great state of Meth Dakota. You know Meth Dakota, the state just south of North Dakota. But either way, what's up, everybody? Man, I've been working on some things, doing some stuff. And, I love what I do, I'm building my goal, I'm trying to accomplish a bigger vision, and it does take a lot of work and learning curve, and I'm glad that it's a slightly less of a curve for me than it might be for some other people, but I wanted to preface this with, it's not easy to see a goal and accomplish it. So when you accomplish your goals, no matter how big or small they may be, take pride in what you do in your work. So for those of you that don't know, and again, I'm kind of just playing around with things, but the Internet Warlords website's back. You can look at my handsome mug. You can even support and donate, send me an email, subscribe, and I'm working on the store right now. So that way, if you want to help support by getting a t-shirt, sweatshirt, coffee mug, beach towel, pillow, socks, I don't know, whatever you feel like you'd like to have as something to enjoy from the broadcast. It all helps out. I put in all the work myself. I don't have a team, as you can see, so everything you see, I stay up until 3, like last night it was 3:30, 4 o'clock, and I woke up at about 8:30, so I put in a long night of work, and so don't tell me I'm not dedicated to what I do. I'm trying to make the website a little cleaner, obviously. But, I just want to be able to be available. I want to be able to make it so that should I discuss anything on here, people feel like they're able to, that's what I'm looking for. They feel like they'd be able to reach out back to me, to be able to say, hey, I would like to either join your broadcast or advertise on it. I'm trying to work into those avenues because I would like to put somewhere down here, this broadcast is brought to you by, and if there's anybody out there that is, wanting to sponsor a broadcast, then, I've got everything already laid down. I will tell you, though, I don't change my message if I'm being paid for it. That's one thing I'll tell you is my opinion cannot be bought. So don't think that you can sponsor the broadcast and then think I'm going to just preach a narrative. I give my honest opinion about things, and that's the way it always is. And if that means that I sacrifice not having an advertisement at the bottom of the screen, and I don't have to placate to an audience or anything like that, or a narrative, then if I have to sacrifice that, then so be it. I sponsor myself. And again, you guys can go to the page. Again, it's a fledgling page, but we'll get it there, and like my handsome mug, and just tells a little bit about what we're doing. And the store will be set up here probably within the next 2 days or so. It took me about 2 days to get everything all set up, from the time of mock-ups to linking everything to putting in pricing, and then setting up codes for people, because you guys know me, I don't feel like making a buck off anybody. Apparently it's a horrible business strategy, I tell you what, when you just give away your product, but or just have it pay costs. But at the end of the day, I want to get to the next level of what I'm trying to do, and that's going to involve not as much of the stupidity that you'd see, not as much of the day-to-day drama of things, so to speak. I mean, we'll still talk about things as they come up, obviously, as any podcast would. Anybody that wants to directly, come on here and dispute anything with me, I always go, hey, here's a call-in number. Don't feel like you can't. I'm not perfect. I've been known to say things that make people go, well, that's not very nice, CJ. And then I've been known to go, hey, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. I apologize. And you know what? That's not a big problem for me if I go too far, because sometimes I feel like being a warlord and the life experiences I've had means that my lack of empathy is natural, but I recognize it because I want to be apathetic to people whose problems and plights I don't understand. I want to be able to talk about things with people that it doesn't matter, the drama of it. I want to get to facts and solutions. I don't want to just be another drama talking show. I want to be entertaining. I want to have product that you'll enjoy. All my t-shirts I only select are made in the USA. That's why they're a little higher in price, but I assure you the quality is worth it. I still can't find a sweatshirt made in the USA, but when I do, I'll put it up there. It'll be a little higher price, but that's how it works. Coffee mugs are incredible. I still have all my coffee mugs. So, like I said, I just feel like at some point I have to bring this to where I want it to be. Now, I have a green screen. I have different setups. I have things that I want to do. I'm working on ideas on how I want to move forward. In fact, there's been a few people that reached out to me that want to write for Internet Warlords on if I open up a blog site. So Internet Warlords blog, or articles that they want to write. So that's something I'm kind of in the process of working out how that would even work, because I'm not a blogger and I don't know how that world honestly works. But, a lot of people would see Internet Warlords and go, well, what's Internet Warlords? It's got a ring to it. And you know what? They just kind of, again, I think everything in life that's good is earned and never given. And one of those things, it was the title Internet Warlord. That was given to me by a fucking idiot. And, at the end of the day, I turned his insult into a website that they say is worth about $2,500. I think I just bought it 2 years ago. A year ago? Is it a year now? And, I've taken it from nothing to something. That's called bringing it to fruition. It's a plan. It's, we all can have ideas like, okay, you know what? I really would love to work with so-and-so. Okay, well, if you'd like to work with so-and-so, how do you actually make that come to fruition? Well, one, it takes interaction. I don't want anybody to be afraid on the other end of that screen. I've been on the other end of that screen when somebody's going on a long-winded rant. They see a comment that I said in the comments, and it takes out of context, and I'm the target of, I've been on the giving end of that too. I've seen somebody's comment, I've taken it out of context, and I've went off on people like, what the is wrong with you? So at the end of the day, I've taken something that went from an insult to a brand. That's the kind of person I am. You think you're insulting me, and I go, that's a great business idea. That's a great business strategy. You know what? I bet you there's a brand in there somewhere, and then I registered trademark it and send it off to the government for $75. I pay for all the fees and everything, and I have a registered trademark logo. That's how that works, huh? Yeah, okay. All right, well, I like it. And, at the end of the day, I learned a lot about the process of doing it, because think about it. When I first started this, it was just sitting at my coffee table with a cell phone going, "What's up, everybody? It's your boy CJ, the Internet Warlord here, rocking it live and loud from the great state of North Dakota." It just doesn't... That's not the same. This what I have here is a full setup. I specifically did this because I wanted to take the people that do enjoy just me being me and allowing me to have a platform that allows me to go, "Hey guys, go check out my website." I'd appreciate it. Again, it's not like you're gonna find the cure for the coronavirus on it, but at the end of the day, you might just help me out. I can still see the numbers. There's one thing I want people to know about myself, is that the count of the views has never fucking mattered in my world. And it never will. It's just nice to know that right now there are 4 people that are listening to what I'm saying, and I appreciate it. I'm the same me whether or not there's 0, 4, or a billion people watching me. I still say the same things. I still talk about it. If you met me in real life, I'm just as obnoxious when it comes to conspiracy and government corruption and the crimes against the Constitution. I'm the same person. So I really want you to be able to go, "Hey, you know what? CJ's no different than me. He makes mistakes. He will retract error. He will do it. I will do my due diligence on anything I cover on here. The last thing I want is to be what I hate." You know what I mean? I think a lot of us can agree that we don't want to become the villain. We either die a hero or we live long enough to see ourselves become the villain. I don't want to become a villain. That's terrible, terrible, terrible thought. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's a fact that some people they don't get how all this works. They don't understand the technology or the work that gets put into it. They think that you have to be superhuman. It's like, nah, man, you just have to have a little bit of know-how and a little bit of grit and a little bit of, I'm going to have to work those till 3, 4 in the morning nights just to get that one thing right. How would I even make something like this come to fruition, let alone, when I did this last night, I started doing this last night, right? This is just one example. This is just one example of something I was working on, and it's just for your enjoyment, if you're taking your time out of your day to listen to me and to people that might call into this broadcast and to take on conversations on the topics that I know I intentionally wake up and go, I'm going to talk about a topic that's going to piss off at least half this country. And if I'm not, I'm doing it wrong. But I'm challenging ideas, I'm challenging your way of thinking, and I want it to be as entertaining and as presentable to you. Because if you go out there and say, "Man, did you see that Internet Warlords broadcast where CJ talked about this?" Well, I want you to be able to tell your friends that, hey, they're watching something that is definitely, I put in work and I'm dedicated to it. I don't want to give you something that's half-assed, but, and you guys do keep me honest. You keep me honest all the time. I have people that I care about that I can clash with. At the end of the day, I wake up the next day, I'm like, God, it's fucking stupid. I still care about them, but that's fucking stupid, man. It's stupid that that at some point, in my opinion, again, you're on my broadcast, you're watching my platform, I think I'm allowed to be me. But sometimes in like the comments, for example, or in just in watching whatever it is we're watching, if there's a host or something, you know, like if there's a disagreements of opinion like we had the other day where, you know, good dad, bad dad, you know, like that kind of stuff, because it's everywhere. There's millions. You can insert guy name here, woman name here kind of stuff, and it gets sensitive. And I don't know for sure. Fuck, man, listen, Mr. Breedlove, if he's a fucking danger to his kid and abusive to his ex, then at least show me the evidence. Don't show me a phone call of a CPS worker that's being a cunt and then say he's unfit. Because if you would really truly think about it, imagine I know nothing of this guy. I know nothing of him. Sure, that phone call sounded a little like, well, could you do it a little bit better? Yeah. Is she definitely doing her job wrong? Yeah. Is she provoking him? Yeah. Is he going into it? Yeah. Should he just stop? Probably. Yeah. But at the end of the day, your kid shouldn't be the ransom in this, and that's not the way you should be treated. So, at the end of the day, it just blows my mind that we don't defend due process. And again, I'm not saying he's the greatest dad in the world. But at the end of the day, he should have due process. And if nobody can understand why I argue that, then we have a long way to go in conversation and talking. And I might even have to do a full broadcast of why just due process and critical thinking alone is this important. You got to think to yourself and go, you know what? Hey, if I'm going to call somebody a sovereign citizen, I better have fucking proof. If I call somebody unfit to be a parent, I better have concrete, beyond a reasonable doubt evidence. Not just hearsay. Heard it from a friend who. Heard it from a friend who. Heard it from another, your unfit father. You know, like, that's the bullshit. You see that laundry list that your ex accused you of? Prove yourself innocent and then you'll see your kid. So, can we not agree it's a fucking tactic? And listen, there's a woman here, and preface this with everybody that I speak about, talk about, more than willing, if you want to come on, talk about whatever it is you feel like talking about. But I got this saved video. It showed up on my feed. I clicked save, just so I could get back to it. And I don't know what her name is. Chloe Sunderland. So, for those of you guys that don't know Chloe, she sounds like she's been through an ordeal. Now, this is my problem, and I'm gonna tell you. Listen, I'm not... Man, I don't even know where to go now. Okay, well, she likes TikTok. That's fine. I'm not saying you can't. But there's a video of her that kind of made a lot of waves. And... I'm not gonna do TikTok. Sorry, not. I'm not gonna go into TikTok. Apparently that's a thing, huh? But there's a video of her, and I know I saw it. I don't know how far back. I'm gonna have to scroll to get to it. But she's defending fathers' rights, which, for those of you who know, that I was the COO of Disgusted Dads at one point. Supporting fathers' rights. And where is she at? Man, I'm scrolling. Gonna keep on scrolling. Here we go. Here's the video, if I remember correctly.
Last 10 minutes. This was posted 7 hours ago by my Facebook friend, Faith. My son was killed yesterday by his partner. I'm sure you're aware of this. Today she's going to court for breaching restraining order, and it will be bailed. It could take months for any justice to even begin for the loss of my son due to domestic violence. Many times he'd walked away. Many times he'd been brought to my door by police as they knew it was safest for him.
All right. So, anyways, this is her. So, she's reading something. There's another one that she played. It's a little more emotional.
So, I didn't think that I was going to have to make this video, and I apologize if I get emotional, because I'm emotional and pretty angry already. But if I get emotional, please just remember that I'm a human being. I didn't think I was ever going to have to talk about this or defend myself in this kind of way. But there are some people, and quite increasingly so, that seem to think that they have the slightest fucking clue about my past or what I've been through with the father of my kid.
Oh, all right. So I don't know what you've been through in the past with the father of your kid, as do 99.999999999999% of people on the internet. Okay, so let's hear you out. What compels you to share this, right? Because as you see, you are supported. Yeah, you got Edmund Welsh even sharing your video here. So, I mean, that's where I even saw it from. So, again, at the end of the day, I don't know your story. And that's a lot of people's problems, is that they think everybody knows their story. I don't think anybody knows my story. That's why I constantly got to tell everybody, hey, the mother of my child is committing fraud. Because if I don't, she'll be an actress, and she'll act like a victim. That's what I deal with from the world. I deal with a woman that knows how to manipulate the system because she was brought in by it. She was molded by it, created it. Her mother nurtured her in it. And when the time came, she benefited from all of those teachings from those women that made it so that I haven't seen my daughter in 2,098 days. And again, if you were my daughter, again, grown up and drugged through the system, I'm sure what you've experienced, I would be livid if it happened to my child. So again, I'm willing to hear you out. So let's continue this on.
So I just want to say something to the people that have been continuously saying to me, "Oh, you fight for men's rights, but you're denying the most important ones." The blah 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 blah, the bullshit, whatever bullshit you're spewing from your mouth.
Okay, so now, this has been something that a lot of women will face. This very same question. Like, oh, they pop up on the internet, they see a bunch of dads. Most of these women end up dating a single dad, and and that woman tends to be, that single dad tends to be going through a situation with a woman, and that's normally what converts a woman to being a men's rights activist, is they have a man in their life that they were either cut off from, or they have a brother, or, they have a man that has directly been impacted by the maliciousness of a woman. Now, don't get me wrong. I have women in my life that have been directly impacted from the maliciousness of a man. So I can get the common ground. But I hope you'll see where I'm going with this.
Apologize.
Okay.
Lots of people don't know this part of my story because as soon as I share it, I feel like they try to discredit everything that I've done or am doing, but I just feel like it's necessary. So I'm going to say it once and I'm never going to talk about it again.
Nobody's saying you can't talk about it, okay? You can talk all you want about it, but I wouldn't talk about it in this forum. I wouldn't talk about it in this way, I would talk about it in a different context, and maybe in something like what I'm doing, where evidence it can be held up on a screen rather than on an iPad that you go like this with. But again, I know you have evidence, so I'm not. You're saying you have evidence of the abuse, so hey, I'm a human too, you know.
The father of my kid is like the most traumatic and most abusive relationship I have ever been in my entire life. I choose not to go into detail because it's something I choose not to think about.
I know my mic is off. I'm saying some things and then I'll edit later. But here's the rundown. I know that this woman has been through some trauma. It's clear as day. Whether or not it's been adjudicated is a whole nother question, but I'm sure there's those documents too. So my point being that this is where I get afraid, especially during the fourth wave feminist, current, the fourth wave of feminism that we're on, that every man is Satan reincarnate, and just a glancing look away from raping a woman. That's the world the men live in. It's criminal in some places just to be a man, according to some leftist mentalities and ways of thinking. But I'm afraid that a girl sees this and then sees that, it's got 5,000 views, and now she's going to imitate. She's going to learn how to imitate that woman. She could be a real victim. But what I'm saying is, she's going to teach other women how to act just like this, how to get that look just right, how to get that. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to get at. I'm not saying she has not been through anything and that she doesn't have evidence and that what I'm saying is that regardless of if she is or isn't, if she isn't, she's a great actress. But if she is, this is what's teaching other women the tone of voice you have to take, the type of emotional level you have to get to. This is where your community educates you. Admin, you like that one? I caught that immediately. Your community educates you to what the successes are and the failures are. And I'm sorry, but a good sob story is something that people do to get away with fraud. Now, I'm not claiming, again, don't take that into context of this woman's committing fraud or anything. What I'm saying is that this is where the problem lies, is that women come on to social media where 95% of the women have just abused and battered men through the court system, and then the 5% of mothers that have been getting fucked over in the court system, they combine, and that's a weird thing. And then you have the mothers that go off and date single fathers and then become men's rights advocates because they see what the other woman did to that man, and they're like, I'm not going to be that type of shitty woman. And then that next woman treats that man with dignity, respect, kindness, courtesy, and guess what? He's not the bad guy that other woman claimed that he was. Do you see what I'm saying? So, I don't know. Maybe this woman, maybe if I got hit, and then again, I'm speaking as if it's, I don't know nothing about these people, because I don't. So, nobody knows your case better than you, okay? Nobody knows my case better than me. But if I had the father of, if your child's father called in right now and told me he's got pictures of you swinging a hammer at his face on a live broadcast, does that again, it's an allegation. You see what I mean? Like, so this is where I don't give legal advice, but I will tell you, you gotta go to the court process of this, because I'm not a sovereign citizen. I'm not gonna tell you to sign a bloody affidavit and a freaking renounce your citizenship, but you need to go to court. You need to go to those things that again, we think are heinous. I know I got another date and destiny coming in the courtroom at some point. But next time I'll have an attorney. And I would suggest that all parties involved get an attorney. And I know it sounds crazy coming from me, but we have to realize that we live in a world where you can't represent yourself and win. It's impossible. You could be the rightest of right person in the world, but without legal representation. And you do have the right to represent yourself and to act beyond your own, to act on your own behalf in your best interest. You know, and so men's rights advocates or men's rights activists, or again, I'm not a advocate or activist. I am a man who's had my rights violated, and I will talk about other issues in that pertaining to that field, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like that every person is guilty until proven innocent. So I don't know your story, Miss Sunderland. I really don't. But I watched your whole thing. And you're very compelling. You are very passionate. You are very much, I can definitely tell, very much a fighter. So I'm not trying to disrespect you in any way, shape, or form. But what I'm saying is I'm afraid that this is what is teaching young girls how to get away with what I would say is victim mirroring. You know, when I bring up the fourth wave of feminism here, and again, a lot of people don't even know what that is. Let me see here. Fourth wave feminism. Alright. So fourth wave feminism is a phase of feminism that began around 2012 and is characterized by the focus of empowerment of women and the use of internet tools. Centered in intersectionality, the fourth wave examines the interlocking systems of power that contribute to the stratification of traditionally marginalized groups. Fourth wave feminists advocate for greater representation of these groups in political and business and argue that society would be more equitable if policies and practices incorporated these perspectives of all people, whereas the feminists fought for and earned women greater liberation, individualism, and mobility. The fourth wave furthers the agenda by calling for justice against assault and harassment, for equal pay for equal work, and body anonymity, or autonomy, excuse me. Fourth wave feminists often use print, news, and social media to collaborate and mobilize, speak against abusers of power, and provide equal opportunities for girls and women. In addition to advocating for women, fourth wave feminists believe that boys and men should have greater opportunities to express their emotions and feelings freely, to present themselves as they wish, and to be engaged parents to their children. Which is crazy to think that fourth wave feminism actually says that they should present themselves as they wish and be engaged parents to their children. But listen, this is my problem, is that your first wave, women's rights, the suffragettes, we're talking like 1920s, 1910s, building those relationships and those coalitions, to 100 years later, it's evolved into all men are predators. And now this fourth wave somehow wants to erase all that and go, hey, no, they just present them as they are. It makes no fucking sense. So can women agree that women don't make any fucking sense even when it comes to their movements? Because even men's rights are just like, hey, we're just getting fucked over too, But, we don't see men's liberation, because if you said men's liberation and that the courts are turning men into equity slaves, and there's not a goddamn thing that anybody can do about it unless we start killing everybody in the government that allows it. Other than that, it's a big fucking problem that I don't care to hear much about from people that, one, wouldn't never even relate, or two, wouldn't know anything about it. But my point still remains that women teach women. how to control men, and women teach women how to be actresses, and they teach women how to be victims, and they teach women how to, get that attention. That's a fact. We live in that world. But again, if you were my daughter, the first thing I would tell you is listen, if my daughter is ever on a screen saying the words that you say during this video, her father's gonna go murder that guy. Do you hear me? Listen, Miss Sutherland, I don't know why your father isn't out there murdering your abuser, but I have little girls, and if they had this, I wouldn't wait for the court. I'd just murder them. So it makes me wonder if she has a relationship with her father or not. Things like that. Like, what made you a men's rights advocate? So you put your video out there on social media. I saw it. It was shared by somebody I respect, which is rare for him to share this type of content. But, Edmund must have felt like, hey, this is something to look at. So, but again, I don't know if she's a victim. I don't know if she says in here that she has the right to be a victim. I don't know if she's been adjudicated or not. So, again, I'm not saying anything, but she does get pretty emotional. And, again, like I said, my real fear out of this video is just you're teaching girls how to be victims. Not to speak out in power, but how to act like you to get the attention you're going to get. That's what I'm worried about. That's the point. I mean, it's not like, and again, I'm not saying negative attention. I'm saying that your situation might be legit. But if somebody was, gets into an argument and, this boyfriend calls his girlfriend a cunt, and then she shows up on here acting like this without presenting any evidence. At least she presents some evidence in this. I will give her that. And so, again, at the end of the day, this woman shouldn't be being berated, but she will be. It's the internet. I'm sure if she was watching this, she'd be like, fuck, somebody else is talking about that video. But this is the internet. It's the war for the internet. And you bring up a great topic. I've seen your video. I've seen your passion. And I know that you care. So I would love to invite you on at some point and say, hey, Miss Sutherland, you're welcome to call in. You don't have to talk about anything you don't want to. But I mean, I would ask you, what makes you a men's rights advocate? Do you have concerns that some women would teach women how to accuse men of heinous things and then learn from videos like this on how to act? Would you agree with that? I mean, put it to you this way. If I had a video out there that got 1 million views on something and it was a complete bullshit thing, people would call me on it. I'm just saying that, like I said, the thing you stated that you're denying your child's father, he might be a danger to you. He very well could be. I don't know your relationship. I don't know any of that. I would highly suggest that you avoid him at all costs and go through all the proper channels. If you have to get a protection order, so be it. And the people that are watching here that will, I wonder why I'm saying that. You're gonna watch the whole video, and I'm gonna try not to interrupt her. That's why I figured I'd get all this shit out now, and then we can just watch it and get it over with. But again, if you were my child and this was my daughter going through something like this, and I know I'm not that old, but my daughters are still, kids, so thank God for that for now. But you can't deny a father his kid, because there's two things that are going to happen. You're going to all the trauma that you both have gone through together is immediately put on the front burner. And the child's put on the back burner because it's now a public showdown of a beatdown of who is... I mean, I've been engaged in it too. My daughter's child molester is named Justin Heathman. I don't make any secret about it. For the rest of his life, he's a child molester. Sucks to be him. But that's what happens when you mentally molest a child into thinking that this is not your father. I've never had a court case, criminal case, proving me unfit. I just had a woman that lied on a birth certificate and put on a really good show. So, like I said, when I see this, I go, she might be a victim. I don't see anything definitive. She's not holding up a court paper that says, here, he was convicted. Not that I've seen yet. And again, admittedly, I skipped the last minute and a half because I wanted to play this on here. So, my point still remains that I'm afraid that this is what's teaching women how to be victims. Women are teaching women how to be victims and turn it into entertainment. And listen, I'm not saying you can't have your moments. I've done ranted in front of this fucking camera enough to know I can't tell nobody you can't rant in front of your own fucking cameras. Like, trust and believe, I'm not telling you can't. But what I'm saying is that this is where women, like, if a woman wanted to frame a man and she wanted to act like a victim, I'd act like this woman. That's what I'd do. If I was a woman. Now what? If I was a woman, I would act like you, try to get your amount of attention, and then use social media to slander my ex as much as possible. I even pray to the day that my daughter's child molester calls in here so I can at least call him a child molester to his ear. You know? I pray for that day. So, like I said, I get it. People do commit abuse. It's disgusting. It's heinous. But, like I said, I just have my concerns, and I'm not again saying that you're not a victim.
But don't come at me talking about rights. Because I have a right to my own safety.
You do.
I had a right to be safe.
Yes, you do.
During my pregnancy.
Yep.
I had a right to not fear for my life and my child's life every single day.
Fact.
I had a right for the father of my child's favorite game to not be, let's choke out my pregnant girlfriend until she wakes up covered in her own shit.
Alright, and that's the point where, again, if you had a father and you called me up and said, my boyfriend just choked me out to the point where I woke up covered in shit, I promise you everybody in this world would know my first, middle, last, and suffix of my name if that was my daughter. I promise you I would murder publicly, probably record it and show it to the jury myself and not plead insanity and say, no, did you hear her words? He choked her out and she woke up covered in her own shit. I'd fucking kill the guy. See? That's simple. That's simple. My freedom of speech is just, it's overwhelming. Now listen, that's terrible. I'm not going to ask you for evidence of you waking up covered in your own shit. But you could see where insert allegation here is a problem.
I had a right to feel safe. I survived one of the most horrific people I've ever been around. When my daughter was 3 weeks old, I decided to leave him. An instance occurred. I waited for him to fall asleep. I strapped her to my chest. I put a duffel bag in my hand, and I walked to a train station. I left my abuser my belongings, my furniture, my house. I left him everything because my safety and keeping my daughter in my care was more important. For those that don't know, I have a past with social services. I grew up with social services, obviously. So, they know.
I'll be right back. We apologize for the interruption. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming. Alright, so back where were we? We're telling the story of Miss Sutherland here. So she admits to a system that she was raised up in, that she grew up around. She's grown up around this. I'd want to dive more into this, obviously, but again, point being that it's not uncommon for people that have been abused to find abusive relationships. And again, I'm not saying it's good. Not at one point have you heard me say what she experienced is right, just, or fair, or any of that. So before anybody thinks I'm trying to knock down this woman, again, I think I've done more than preface that I don't know her case. This is the first time I'm playing her video, and I've only addressed my concerns, and that's it. Fair enough, right?
Know me, so for those that grow up in social services, you're stigmatized and you're at risk for losing your kid because you're watched really close. And so I made that choice for myself and my kid. I got an emergency protection order the very next day.
This is where I think me and society are gonna disagree. Not that it's gonna be too far off. We have to teach anybody that you're in this type of situation, the first place you're going is to law enforcement. Because abuse is a crime. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not pack your stuff up and then... Yeah, you know, some women will tell you, I had to wait 9 months in order for my plan to come to fruition. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. We can't allow women to continue this mindset moving into the future. We really can't. I think that this society has placed such an importance on being a victim that people have forgotten how to be victorious. That's where I'm saying. I'm a victor. I'm not a victim. Victim mentality is the worst mentality. Fourth wave feminism is perpetual victimhood. It does not empower you. I mean, so at the end of the day, like I said, I get my brain noodle goes, well, if you've been previously involved in CPS and you've been previously involved in that system, then you know how it works. So, but again, we got to teach women that the sticking around with your abuser is not socially acceptable. I'm sorry that women don't realize and wake up that every state you have women's shelters everywhere. You know how many men's shelters? Hang on. I think there's 1 or 2 now. I think there's 2. Hold on. Let's see here. Men's rights shelter. Number total of the USA. Well, I can tell you that 51% of single men are homeless, and 24% of single women are homeless. So there's a statistic for you. I wonder why. Men's rights shelters. You'd think if there was men's rights shelters, right, that this screen would have a bunch of listings. There is some opening up here, NPR. That's from 2017, so at least some are, but check this out. Women's rights shelters. Look at what you guys get. I'm sorry, women's... wrong one. How do I do this? Let's see here. It'd be, well, not women's rights shelters. Women's shelters.
Listings for women's shelters around Bismarck. Here they are.
Oh, look how easy it is to just go women's shelters. Okay? That's how easy it was to go women's shelters. And wouldn't you know it, damn it, there is literally one, like, Oh, right here. I can use the American Legion right here in Eureka, South Dakota, as a woman's shelter from an abusive man. That's literally in here in this city with less than 900 people. Oh, maybe like 1,100 actually. Now let's try that again. Men's shelters. Oh, nothing. No, ding. Doors Open Ministries, that's about one, but no ding, Google, here's your GPS traffic, you'll get there in 4 hours. We gotta teach women that the staying with your abuser excuse is not going to bear any weight or fruit. Unless you have been documenting crazy abuse. I mean, again, and at some point you're into it. Like, you have to make that escape. So when I go back to this woman, Miss Sutherland here, or Sunderland, excuse me, you can make your escape. And actually, at least you went the next day to the court. But now again, I've still, now at least you went that proper route, right? Go to the court, okay? Obviously, don't go hire mercenaries. So between hire mercenaries to kill him and go to court, you did the right thing, right? Between the two choices. So where I'm hoping is that this leads to criminal allegations, or criminal conviction.
In which I remained safe for about 10 months.
Okay.
10 months after I had an emergency protection order.
This is why I would tell this woman to go buy a gun tomorrow. Not tomorrow, yesterday. You should be carrying a pistol on your side at all times. Because if somebody comes up to you like that again, you blow their fucking brains out, and then somebody like CJ Abernathy goes, well, he shouldn't have approached her like that and did what he did, because I know what's coming.
Against him, there was 2 court orders stating he couldn't come near me. He found me on the streets of downtown Calgary.
Are you Canadian, eh?
Chased me down with a metal baton. For those that don't know what that is, it's the things that the police carry that...
Oh, so if you're in Canada, you can't carry a gun? Is she a Canadian? You Canadian? I can't message this woman on Facebook and invite her on that way, or let her know that I'm even discussing this, but Miss Sunderland, if you do see this, you're welcome to call in too. So don't think you're not. And again, I'm not bashing you in any way. I'm trying to get through this while at the same time addressing my concerns. So...
Sorry. Chased me down and, beat me about an inch from my life. But not only that, left me there without calling for help. So when I tell you that my child is not a part of her dad's life, it is for a reason.
Okay, so like I said, sometimes I do things so I don't have to do them twice. My bad. See this? That's my head split open. Now do you understand? Anybody can put anything on a screen. It's not my actual head, and that's the point I'm trying to get at. So this is not the forum, but again, compelling. You're telling your story. Continue.
Do you understand?
See, if you were my daughter, you would have done a full video with court documents on the screen. All this would have been in there in the fluff pictures, the B-roll. But it wouldn't have been just you crying here in a bedroom. So, that's my point. Like, it just blows my mind. But again, if you have the court documents, if you have a criminal conviction, I mean...
I shouldn't have to explain myself.
Right, but he shouldn't...
If I breathe, sleep, shit, and eat men's rights, don't you think? Sorry. I'm allowed to have these kinds of feelings. Because when he went to trial...
Okay, so there was a trial.
First of all, he was laughing at me the whole time I was reading my victim impact statement.
He has the right to face his accuser, and when facing you, he laughed.
Second of all, the detective failed to do his job, so instead of it being conspiracy to commit murder, it was, assault with a deadly weapon causing bodily harm, in which he will most likely just get probation.
Oh, wow. Are you a Canadian? Because these laws sound pretty fucked up to me. If you had all the evidence in the world that this dude beat you over the head with a baton and left you for dead, that sounds like conspiracy to commit murder to me, not just assault with a deadly weapon. So what fucked up laws are you talking about? But was he convicted, even of the assault with a deadly weapon?
So don't come at me talking to me about rights.
Actually, that's all I do on Internet Warlords is talk about people's rights. So, sorry, Miss Sunderland. That's all I do here. But with substantive and procedural due process of law, people can lose their rights, meaning if he's convicted and he's deemed a danger. But again, go ahead.
And don't ask me why I still advocate for men.
Makes you a stronger person than most. Which, again, is my theory and preface that you have a man that is directly impacted your life. And brother, father, grandpa, who knows? I don't know.
Because one man did that to me, not all of them. But as a woman...
Hey, and real quick to share your sentiment, I'm a man. I'm listening to your story. I'm not saying I believe you or don't believe you. What I'm saying is that I'm listening to you. That's more than fair. Most men would dismiss you in a second, not care, let alone talk about it like this. So, or listen to it. And just so you know, my listeners have actually listened to you consistently and stayed too. So that's even nice for them to participate like this. So we're hearing you. Your voice is being heard. But please hear our concerns. Please.
I'm encouraged to share my story and heal through that. Men, a lot of the times, just coming clean and looking for support for what they've been through is harder than what they've actually been through themselves.
Not actually true. But losing my daughter was more traumatic than not finding a buddy on the internet to bitch about it with. But I do understand where you're coming from. Again, I don't think all women are evil. I just think evil woman did something evil to me and my child and my family. And I don't think you did. I don't think other women did. So, hence why I'm listening to a woman tell her story. So again, as a man, I appreciate the fact that you're willing to hear men out and defend men's rights. I also defend your rights. Man defending woman's rights. You see what I'm saying? So it's not like you're actually alone in any of this, because millions and millions of people have gone through this.
than that situation because of how stigmatized and because they're not allowed. I'm allowed to be a victim. I'm allowed to be a survivor. And men just aren't. And that's why I fight to change this. And that's why I believe in this movement, because I relate.
This movement is only known for attacking each other.
In many, many ways. I know what it's like to supposed to be that big, tough person. But then you have this one person that, just makes you feel like the smallest, most pathetic person that's ever been.
Yeah, she's called Christina Heathman. She reduced me down to a nothing to my child. Kidnapped her. Yeah, so I get it. I get it a lot. I wish I could cry like this, though. I can't cry. And in fact, you ask anybody that knows me, I just have a hard time even crying. Shedding a tear. I've been to funerals, can't cry. Of family members, can't cry. I've been in traumatic experiences, but there was one time I said a word. There was one time I actually said a word. I actually broke down. I actually broke down and bawled my eyes out. And it was the day that my daughter's child molester and kidnapper got away with their kidnapping. That was the one time in my life I can tell you I cried, and man, did it hurt. So, other than that, it's hard to cry for me. So, I feel it, though. I feel it right here. I feel it.
Strips you of everything you have. So don't tell me that I don't have a right to advocate or that my kid should be with her dad.
This is where me and you are going to disagree now. All right? This is where me and you are going to disagree. I don't know your child's dad. Do I have a criminal history? Okay? Do I see any of that? That's what you're not getting, Miss Sunderland. Is that until we have court documents showing him unfit by a government, meaning his fundamental liberty interest to be a father to his child has been declared void because of abuse, neglect, or some harm to the child, then what you're saying is incorrect, and you're not truly being a men's rights advocate. You're being a feminist, and you're with a men's rights advocate mask on. It's hard, I know, I get it. No woman wants to share a child with a child abuser. No child should have to go to a child abuser. But unless you have a due process where the court finds him unfit and proves him and criminally adjudicates him with full due process of law, then what you're doing is no better than any other mother out there. Is it tragic what you've gone through? Yes. But if my daughter came through the door and said, "He beat me," did he ever beat the kid? No, I don't hear it. I mean, again, well, you got stories where he's just abusive every Tuesday because it's Tuesday, and that's convenient. But I'd like to know his name, because if I could, I'd put it right up here where your face is at, and we'd see his side of the story. You know what I mean? But again, you're just as welcome to call in too. So no, you're not allowed to be a victim until you have a court that declares you a victim with a jury saying you're a victim. Until then, you're perpetuating your victimhood, and it's not been validated yet. Because even under Marcy's law, you can't just be a victim. You have to have the court tell you you're a victim. So don't get mad at me, women out there, who's like, you have to believe her. No, I have to believe a criminal court with due process. And again, just as she's innocent until proven guilty of anything, so is him. And again, not by a court, by a jury. Correct. Again, the court proceeding of declaring him unfit with full substantive due process of law is what you need. So no, withholding his kid only enrages him more, and would make him more of a threat, I'm sure. I'm sure that's what you're trying to go for. So no, you cannot be a men's rights advocate while at the same time denying your child. That's a fact. If you don't have criminally adjudicated criminal charges with substantive procedural due process proving them unfit to be a father. Now, does he sound like a piece of shit? Yeah, but I'll bet you the first time he sees his kid after you've withheld that child for X amount of days is going to be the greatest day of his life. Again. So, at the end of the day, you can despise, loathe the man for sure, and should he be convicted, it should be adjudicated, right? And if he was charged and found with assault with a deadly weapon, then yeah, he might not be a custodial parent. He might have to be a visitor for a while. It's a fact. If you get charged with assault with a deadly weapon. But even if he sat a day in jail, you would be ordered to drive your kid down to visitation at the court. Or at the jail. And he'd get to sit behind a piece of glass and talk to his kid. So you need to take the emotion out of it. That's why these videos are damaging, because they don't actually give you evidence. They give you hearsay. They give you a story, a telling, an emotion. And it's misleading, because you see her like this time, and then you go to her page today.
That I am now dubbed the Canadian Prime Minister of TikTok. So, as the Prime Minister,
she is Canadian. We found that out now.
my first order of business is to announce a war on the fucking word simp. I'm seeing a lot of guys starting to stand up to this word, which I fucking love, and now I want to start seeing women do it. For those that don't know what a simp is, you've probably seen a man being called that or been called it. It's a word that they use for guys who are nice to women and say that they're just being nice because they want to get laid. That word makes me cringe and is extremely disrespectful.
But there are simps out there, and they exist. And they will kiss your ass just to get between your legs. Like, hello, lady, what are you doing? See, this is my problem. You go from this to that, and it's like... And it's again, all right, Prime Minister of TikTok, Canadian.
I do not understand why you men call each other simps as well. You have women calling you that, so why the fuck would you call each other that? You are perpetuating that on yourselves.
Actually, it's a very simple word, simp. As in, that man over there is a simp. Can you not see him kissing her ass to get between her legs? I mean, come on. Man, this is...
That word is becoming normalized, and we're going to put a stop to that right now.
Okay.
Gentlemen, the women of my movement will not call you simps because you're being polite.
But they want to fuck you.
Come over to our side. We got cookies.
Okay.
Welcome to Sex Tips for Women. Ways to stop making men feel bad about themselves. Listen, Nancy. Men have all the pressure when it comes to the bedroom. All of it. They've got to be perfect the first time. Let me explain to you why men have a shitty disadvantage. Women, we've got that big ball of cluster in like one area. So you can touch anywhere else around that area. It's just that one area that's like, But men, they've got that shit front and center. All those nerve endings are on the tip of their Willy the One-Eyed Wonder Wiener. That's kind of shitty and unfair, isn't it? But he just came too quick. Take it as a compliment, go easy on him, and give him a couple practice rounds. Direct him in a non-demeaning manner. I don't know if you know this, but men thrive off of new information. So instead of being a bitch and making fun of him, give him step-by-step Rosetta Stone instructions if you have to. Fuck it. Frank. I'm so sick of seeing these posts, so I'm gonna shut it down right now. I'm so sick of seeing girls be like, guys cheat on the hottest bitches with the ugliest girls. You want to know why that's happening to you? And not that cheating's acceptable, because if you cheat, you're a coward. But you want to know why? It's real simple, and you're making yourself look like an ass. Men aren't as shallow as women are. 1. Honey, just because you look like a 10 doesn't mean that he's going to stick around and put up with your shit if he finds somebody that treats him the way that he wants to be treated and deserves. Because you're the type of girl that thinks it's acceptable to say things like, she's uglier than me. No, you know what she probably was? More humble than you. She didn't treat him like he was dating the hottest girl and that he should be grateful. She treated him like a human being. Sorry, but if he leaves you for somebody that's uglier than you, that says a lot more about you than it does about her. Real people don't base worth off of looks. Thank you.
So, I didn't think that
All right, so I hate when I do that. Sometimes. I mean, I'm still recording, so I could edit it all back in, and the sound's still on there for that one. But then I forget. Oh shoot, the live mic's not on, and I need to put a sticky note on here that says check the mic. What's up, boo boo? You want to say hi to everybody?
Mm-mm.
You don't want to say hi? Say hi. Say, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Aubrey.
Everybody.
The little warlord.
I just want breakfast.
All right, well, I'm going to give you lunch here in about T-minus 10 minutes. So you can go upstairs and I'll tell you when it's ready.
I want toast.
You want toast? Okay. I'll make you some toast. Hey, Aubrey, you can't get married till when? After
College.
After college. All right. All right. Well, shoot. I guess nobody wanted to call in. I left the number up the whole time again, so nobody can say they didn't have the opportunity to call in. I love that. That's one of my favorite things about it. Ooh, that sounds interesting in my headphones. So, Miss Sunderland, you're more than welcome to come on here. I'd love to discuss this with you. Let's see, where was this? Sex tips for women? Oh, we already watched that one, huh? Yeah, very interesting.
Shut it down right now. I'm so sick of seeing girls be like, guys cheat on the hottest bitches with.
Alright, so we have seen that one, huh? I gotta say, she got some comedy in her. She's definitely got some
their rights
comedian.
to their kids. And they didn't like my answer last time. They've been asking me from all around the world how to protect their rights to their kids. And they didn't like my answer last time, so I've come up with a new one, and I think that this one's quite effective. And I have explanations as to why. Number one most important thing to do is document everything. Reasons as to why documentation is important, but I think a big one for me is that it shows that you took the time to stay calm, cool, and collected enough to sit down and write out the incident, write out what happened, sign it, date it, etc. It shows that you're mature, and it shows that you care about your kid. You care enough to make sure that you document every time you feel like your rights as a father is being violated. Another reason why I feel like this is so important is because if you're truly the level-headed one, you're not abusive, and you're truly having your rights violated, then most likely you're going to be the only one that's sitting in court willing to represent yourself, not legally, but speak to a judge, have a full list of things written out, well stated out. You're probably going to be the only one level-headed enough to do that. That's important. Another really important step is making sure that you do not, under any circumstances, stoop down to that level no matter how angry you get. She's saying something like, F you, you're an a-hole, you're not seeing your son today, blah, 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 because I said so. Screenshot that. Say whatever you need to as calm and collectively as you can. If she's not listening, unfortunately, you're going to have to take that loss. You're going to sit there, and that's going to fucking suck. But you know what? Every single time you sit there and you take that and you take it with your head held high, you are one step closer to earning your rights to your kid, which is something that should be given to you. But unfortunately, this is the society we live in. Third most really important step is to take accountability. Nobody is perfect in a relationship. Nobody. If you two have got into an argument, things are getting heated, maybe you say something like, oh, you fucking stupid bitch, you know, blah, blah, blah. Own up to that. Snitch yourself out. Yeah, I said it. Snitch yourself out. Fourth, use zero blaming language towards your ex. Do not speak down about them. Do not speak good about them. Say good things about them. The nicest things you can find, okay, in your statement. Because the reason why most people, again, are not going to be level-headed enough and mature to do that. Probably going to have a long list of things that you're doing wrong, but absolutely nothing that they've done wrong. That's why accountability and not blaming is so important. You don't want to get yourself into a situation where you've done everything right. You've stayed calm, collected, you have followed everything by the books. However, you forgot to take responsibility for your own shit. So what you're going to do is you're going to sit there in court, you're going to look all great and blah, 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 but then you're going to have all this stuff that the opposite side's doing, and they're going to sit there and be like, well, wait, what the fuck? You did this. If they start saying, well, wait, he did this, you're fucked. You got
So, I didn't think that I was going to have to make this video, and I apologize if I get emotional, because I'm emotional and pretty angry already. But if I get emotional, please just remember that I'm a human being. I didn't think I was ever going to have to talk about this or defend myself in this kind of way.
They've been asking me from all around the world how to protect their rights.
But there are some
kids.
people, and quite increasingly
like
so, that seem to think that they have the slightest clue about my past
Number
or
one
what
most
I've been
important
through
thing to
with
do is document
the father of my
everything.
kid.
Reasons
So
as to why
I just
documentation
want
is
to
important.
say
But I
something
think a big one
to the
for me
people
is
that
that
have been
it shows that
continuously
you took
saying
the
to
time
me,
to stay
"Oh,
calm, cool,
you
and
fight for
collected
men's
enough
rights, but you're
to sit down
you're
and write out
denying
things,
the most
write out
important
what
ones, the
happened,
blah
sign it,
blah
date
blah
it.
blah, the bullshit, whatever bullshit you're
It
spewing
shows
from
that
your
you're
mouth."
mature, and it shows that you care about your kid. You care enough to make
Apologize.
sure that you document every time you feel like your rights as a father is being violated.
So you fight for men's rights, but you're denying the most important
Another
ones,
reason why
the
I feel
blah
like this is
blah
so
blah blah,
important is
the
because if
bullshit,
you're
whatever
truly the
bullshit
level-headed
you're
one,
spewing
you're
from your
not
mouth.
abusive, and you're truly having your rights violated, then most likely you're
Apologize.
going to be the only one that's sitting in court willing to.
Lots of people don't know this
represent
part of my
yourself
story
legally,
because
but
as
speak
soon as
to a
I
judge,
share it, I feel like
have
they
a
try to
full
like
list of things
discredit
written out, well
everything that I've done or am doing. But I just feel like it's necessary, so I'm going to say it once and I'm never going to talk about it again.
Another really important step is making sure that you do
The
not,
father of my
under
kid,
any circumstances, stoop down to that level, no matter how
is
angry
like
you get.
the
She's
most
saying
traumatic
something like,
and most
"If you
abusive relationship
a-hole,
I have ever
you're
been
not
in.
seeing your son today
In my
blah,
entire
blah, blah,
life.
because I said so.
I choose not to go
Screenshot
into
that,
detail because it's
say
something I choose not to think
whatever
about.
you need to, as calm and collectively as you can. If she's not listening,
But don't come at me
unfortunately,
talking
you're gonna
about
have to take
rights.
that loss. You're gonna sit there, and that's
Because
gonna
I have a
fucking
right to
suck.
my own
But you know
safety.
what? Every single time you sit there,
I had
and
a
you
right
take that, and you take it with your
to
head
be
held
safe
high, you are one step
during my
closer to
pregnancy.
earning your rights to your kid, which is something that should
I
be
had
given
a
to
right
you, but unfortunately, this
to
is
not
the
fear
society
for my
we live in.
life and my child's
Third
life
most really important
every
step
single
is to
day.
take accountability.
I had a right
Nobody is
for
perfect
the
in a
father of my
relationship.
child's favorite
Nobody.
game
If
to
you two
not
have
be,
got into an argument,
let's choke out my
things are
pregnant
getting heated,
girlfriend
maybe you
until
say
she
something
wakes
like,
up
"Oh, you
covered in her
stupid
own
bitch,"
shit.
you know, blah blah blah. Own up to that.
I had a
Snitch
right to
yourself
feel
out.
safe.
Yeah, I said it. Snitch yourself out. Fourth, use
I survived one of the most
zero
horrific
blaming language towards your ex.
people
Do not
I've ever
speak
been
down
around.
about them. Do not.
When my
speak
daughter
good
was
about them.
3
Say
weeks
good
old,
things about them. The nicest
decided to
things
leave
you can
him.
find. Okay, in your statement.
An instance occurred.
Because the reason
I
why
waited for him to
most
fall asleep.
people,
I strapped her to my
again,
chest
are
and
not
put
going
a
to be
duffel bag
level-headed
in my
enough and
hand,
mature,
and I walked to a train station.
Probably going to have a long list of things
I
that
left
you're
my
doing wrong,
abuser,
but absolutely
my
nothing that they've
belongings,
done wrong.
my
Here's why
furniture,
accountability and not
my
blaming
house.
is so important.
I left him everything.
You don't want to get yourself into a situation where
Because
you've done
my
everything
safety
right. You've stayed calm, collected,
and
you have
keeping
followed
my
everything
daughter
by the books.
in my
However,
care
you forgot to
was
take
more
responsibility
important.
for your own shit. So what you're gonna
For
do
those
is you're
that
gonna
don't
sit there in
know,
court. You're
I
gonna
have
have
a
all
past in
great and
social
blah, blah,
services.
blah.
I grew up
But
in
then
social
you're gonna have
services,
all this
obviously.
stuff that the opposite side's
So,
doing. And they're gonna sit there and be like, well, wait, what the
They
fuck?
know me, so
You did this.
for those that grow up
If
in
they
social
start
services, you're
saying,
stigmatized
well,
and you're at
wait,
risk.
he did this,
for
you're fucked.
for
You
losing
guys
your kid
both look
because you're
stupid.
watched really close.
They made you look stupid, and they
And
made themselves
so I made
look
that
stupid.
choice for myself and my
Let me
kid.
tell you a quick story about how
I got an
out of
emergency
a
protection
federal
order the
fraud
very
charge
next
when I
day.
was 17.
In
Group homes
which
and
I
whatnot,
remained
they have
safe for
accounts
about 10
taxis,
months.
and I found out the account number, so I was taking free rides all
10
over
months
the city,
after
whenever the fuck
I
I
had
wanted.
an emergency
Didn't fully
protection order
understand how
against
it
him.
worked.
There was 2
Once
court
I
orders
realized
stating
that
he
I was
couldn't come near
stealing
me.
money from an agency that had taken care of me, I decided to snitch myself out. I went to the group
He,
home director then, and I
found
said,
me
this
on the
is what
streets
I
of
did.
downtown
I apologize.
Calgary.
I came clean. I snitched myself out. That woman looked at me and laughed, and she said, Chloe, if we had found out, which we would have,
Chased me down
otherwise, you would
with
have had
a
some
metal
serious
baton.
charges.
For
But
those that
because
don't know
I
what
came
that is,
forward,
it's the
they
things that
said,
the police carry.
don't
that,
do it again. Thank you. Have a nice day. Owning up to your shit is the scariest thing, because you always think that saying that thing is the one thing that's going to mess
me
you over the
down
most.
and,
but I promise you, 9 times out of 10, it's not.
beat me
It's gonna
about
be
an
the
inch
fact
from
that
my
you
life.
are able to say, yes, I did this.
but not
I made
only
a
that,
mistake. That is what is going to make you the bigger person.
Left
Both
me there
in front of a judge and
without
to yourself,
calling for help.
genuinely and morally. You have to practice that thinking.
So when I
Once
tell
you've
you
taken accountability and owned up to your mistakes,
that my
there's
child
nothing that they can do to snitch
not a
you
part
out.
of her dad's
if you
life,
have done something that is like,
it is
"Ugh,
for
I
a
shouldn't do it,"
reason.
still snitch yourself out.
Do you understand?
Night, fucking shame on you, but own up to it. Otherwise, through this he said, she said,
I shouldn't
again,
have to
you lose
explain
all
myself.
credibility. I've made a mistake. That's a
If
pretty
I
big
breathe,
one that you feel
sleep,
the need to own
shit,
up to, but you're
and
scared.
eat
This
men's
is how
rights.
to do it so that
Don't
you have
you
a
think?
chance. When you are owning up to something that you have done, there's 3
Sorry.
things that is very important. Again,
full accountability.
I'm allowed
Do not
to have
place
these kinds of
any
feelings.
blame, not a single place of blame on that other person.
because when
even
he
though
went
it's
to
stupid.
trial,
But 3,
First
you need
of all,
to be
he
able
was
to
laughing
reiterate
at me
not only how
the
that
whole
has affected
time I
your
was
life,
reading
but
my
theirs
victim
as well.
impact
If you are
statement.
able to stand in front of a judge,
Second
and
of
say,
all, the
"I
detective
made this
failed to do
choice.
his job,
This
so
is how
instead
it
of it
affected
being
them, and
conspiracy
this, and
to
this,"
commit
that is
murder,
a powerful thing because
it was,
nobody nowadays stops to think about how their
assault with a
actions
deadly
affect someone
weapon
else, and it
causing
shows
bodily
genuine
harm,
empathy.
in which he will
Again,
most likely
you need to
just get
practice
probation.
That conscious thinking. It'll change your life, I promise.
So don't come
Ladies
at
and
me
gentlemen who have lost their parental
talking
rights
to
or
me
struggling with them, and yeah, ladies
about
too,
rights.
because ladies lose custody of their kids too for reasons that are not necessary.
and don't ask me
Social
why
services.
I still
Anyways.
advocate for men because
It is
one man
a long
did that
road.
to me. Not
It's
all
not
of
going
them.
to be easy, but I can tell you one thing.
But as a woman,
nothing is going to
I'm
change if you
encouraged
continue
to
sit
share
back
my
and just
story
accept it.
and heal
Men,
through that.
You have a right to your kid.
Men,
Society
a
is
lot of
telling
the
you that
times,
you don't,
just
but you do.
coming
You
clean
helped
and
create
looking
that
for
child, and you
support
have
for what
rights to
they've
that
been
child.
through is
I
harder than what
recognize,
they've
and
actually
lots of
been
other
through
people
themselves,
recognize
like
that you
than
have
that
just as much
situation because of how
capability loving that
stigmatized
child,
and because they're
taking
not
care
allowed
of that child, and being a
I'm
single
allowed
parent as any other
to be a
mother.
victim.
But you need to make sure that you're being honest with yourself.
I'm
and with the
allowed
people
to be a
around you about the
survivor.
actions that you've made to contribute to that relationship.
And men just aren't.
Because if you don't, then you're never actually going to heal.
And that's
you're
why I
never
fight
actually
to
gonna
change
grow.
this. And that's
Gentlemen,
why
you
I
don't have
believe
to
in
sit
this
back and take
movement
this
because I
anymore.
relate.
I want you guys to stand
in
up.
many,
I
many
want you guys
ways.
to fight for your rights. I want you
I
to
know what
stop
it's
being
like
angry.
to
I know
supposed
it's
to be
hard.
that big, tough
I know
person.
that it's hard, but getting you
But
angry
then you
is
have
not
this
gonna
one
get you anywhere.
person that
Sitting here
like
and
just
cursing your baby
makes you
mama's
feel
name
like
is
the
not gonna get you
smallest,
anywhere.
most
Sitting there
pathetic
cursing women's
person
names
that's
is
ever
not gonna get you
been.
anywhere because there is a lot of community. There's women are like surfacing and starting to advocate
Strips you
for
of
this
everything
stuff.
you
It's
have.
incredible to see. You have people that have your back. Do not get angry. Do something about it. Getting angry
don't
is
tell
doing
me
nothing. You need to stay
that I don't have a
calm.
right
You need to stay
to advocate
collected. You need to realize that
that
you're growing a movement of communities that are there that'll
my
have
kid
your
should be
back.
with her
If
dad.
you need anything, if you need me to
'Cause
help
I
you
know it's
find legal
best.
representation in your state or your province, I've got
Thank
your back. Reach out to me. But stop sitting back and allowing this to happen because you have rights and nothing is going to change. Nothing. Don't accept it, okay? Just don't. Really, really quick before I go, I just watched the very first episode of a show called The Community tonight, as I'm sure many people are a fan of. I've heard a lot about it, never watched it. Don't like it. Maybe this is just a bad coincidence or was meant to happen, but the very first episode I managed to watch was the one guy, she had like cheated on her husband because her husband cheated on her and she'd got knocked up and she didn't know if it was her husband's or the Asian dude.
Funny story, that's how my daughter was kidnapped, that right there, except I'm not Asian, I'm white. So, you know, she cheated on her husband while he was cheating on her, she got pregnant by me, and then lied in court. And that's just the truth, in the simplest ways you can put it. So, Miss Sunderland, you can see my dilemmas. But again, I'm not saying you're a bad person, so I hope you'll reach out to me, and maybe I can bring you on here, and we can have a conversation and not just this. So that is my public invite to you. So all right, well, with that being said, you guys, I think that's about it. I did leave, like I said, the phone up. Don't forget, again, Internet Warlords website is back up, and it's in its infancy stages, but it's there. You can see it's there. I got it for the next 3 years, so it was on a really good sale. So but yeah, other than that, please go check out the website, internetwarlords.com, the war for the internet. Anything helps. There's a donation PayPal link on the website. If you feel like you got something from this broadcast, you want to contribute and help pay for this. Like I said, I was up till 4 in the morning just making that intro. So, you know, at the end of the day, I hope you guys get something out of it. And again, it's just going to be talk, commentary, nothing crazy. But I'm going to leave you with the intro because I've worked pretty hard on that, so I want to see it again. All right, guys, have a good day or don't. Choice is always yours. We'll see you guys next time on Internet Warlords, the war for the internet.
warlord is a leader able to exercise military, economic, and political control over a subnational territory within a sovereign state due to their ability to mobilize loyal armed forces. These armed forces, usually considered malicious, are loyal to the warlord rather than to the state regime. Warlords have existed throughout much of history, albeit in a variety of different capacities within the political, economic, and social structure of states or ungoverned territories. Welcome to Internet Warlords. The war for the Internet.